Hello, all, and welcome to the Home Modification Occupational Therapy Alliance meeting, HMOTA. And tonight we have one of our own members, Connie Wyatt, who's going to be presenting home modifications for someone with ALS. Connie, though, is working, and she doesn't get off work until about 9 o'clock, so she pre-recorded her presentation. So what I'm going to do, the presentation is about 40 minutes long, and so what I want to do is start at maybe about 8:30, maybe a little sooner than that. So that way she can get here towards the end of the presentation and answer questions. Because I saw a little bit of it. It's a very good presentation. She and her husband had lived with a man who had ALS. And so it's really interesting, her take on all this. So before we get started with that, there's a few things that I was hoping we could have some discussion on. I see a few new names. Welcome to the new people, and welcome back to everybody else. I wanted to open up some discussion about the senior, oh, I should even know what it's called, the home modification tax break for seniors to make the home accessible. I was doing a little bit of research on that, and it looks like, oops, that's a different one. It looks like it's sort of stuck right now. It's the Senior Accessibility Housing Act, and there's not a whole lot going on with it right now. Basically, it says with the Senior Accessible Housing Act that you're allowed $30,000 tax home modification credit for seniors to age in place, and I believe that's everyone over 60. Here's a little bit about it. When I went to look at it, what I found was disturbing was, according to some analyst, it only had a 2% chance of passing, which is really sad because, as many of us know, people don't actually do a very good job of planning for aging in place. And I think, with this tax incentive, I think it would, instead of just making your home accessible, people might, actually do something like, if they're going to remodel, just remodel to make it accessible anyway. So I don't know if anybody else has some thoughts on that. I think it's something that we as a group should see what we can do if you guys are up for it. Any thoughts on that?
I can tell you that not this particular chunk of money, but about home modifications ever since 2002, I think it was, or maybe it's 2012. I can't remember exactly, but it they get excited about it up there, and then all of a sudden the interest wanes. I don't know how to do anything about it other than, you keep talking and keep bringing it up and keep showing people what beautiful accessible houses look like. And I'm also finding a lot of people are kind of, with the boomers, they're in that sandwich situation where they're taking care of their older parents who are in nursing homes, and it's so distressing. And then they have their kids too. So they're wanting to bring their parents home because the nursing home situation is just, it's outrageously expensive. And, the care really isn't that great. So I think that's going to start really coming to a head pretty soon. And that's when people will start being more interested, I think, in having a home that, I guess, the multi-generational type thing. I don't know. I think it's still kind of a thing that's morphing. I talked with Louis Tenenbaum about it earlier this week, and he said that, he's pushing for this, but it's still not exactly what they were hoping to get. And so he's thinking a lot of times getting stuff through Congress is like, trying to, thread a needle with a rope or something. It's really, really hard. and takes forever. But what he's thinking about doing is seeing if there isn't some way that they can possibly insurance companies more motivated to give discounts, because they give discounts for people who
Oh,
get burglar alarms for their homes, or they give discounts for people who have safe driving records and things like that. So he was thinking along the line that, if maybe the long-term care insurance companies or any of those insurance could get them interested in giving discounts, that might be a motivating thing and might appeal to more people, as rather than the tax thing, because the tax thing take forever to happen.
yeah.
So that's 2 cents.
Hi, this is Felice. How would this benefit the insurance companies? I'm sure that would be a thought that they would have.
Well, it's, fewer falls, people able to live in their homes safely longer, and, fewer, I guess, well, I don't want to say modifications, but it's more expensive for the long-term care to pay for care when you go into assisted living.
Right.
Things. Whereas to be able to, get a discount on your premium for that long-term care insurance, if you've modified, that would save them money in the long run.
I'm just asking that as a devil's advocate because, well, those long-term care policies from the last, I don't know, X number of years,
Yeah.
supposedly offered some kind of part of the benefit was that you could modify your house, but I think, I don't know, you might have had to go through certain hoops and you may only get like $6,000 or something.
Yeah.
So part of it was considered, but it would certainly be beneficial to get more.
Well, I think
deeper in.
I think if, like I said, or what Lewis was saying is that, the discounts that they give for car insurance, if you don't have any accidents or tickets or something like that, that's where, you're making those modifications, but you can get a discount on your insurance. And that's what he's trying to push, because the fact that, he says usually it's upper middle to upper levels of income who make these things happen. So that's where he's, I think that's the gist of what our conversation was about.
Okay. So his petition, how is his, he's trying to get the petition signed. I don't know if it's change.org, but we were all supposed to try and help sign things he was sending out.
Well, I know I did check on my representative, and my representative is on the Ways and Means Committee. So I did call, hey, this is important to me. I'm a constituent. And so that's something that you should do. Whenever you see something that pertains to what you're interested in, it's one of those things that in the AARP advocacy that we discussed, that a phone call from a constituent gets the attention of the representative a lot quicker and with more impact, has more impact than, signing a petition or anything like that, or emails. So, making that phone call and encouraging your friends to make the phone call, and, letting them know, okay, this is the number of your representative. Please call them, and just, take 2 minutes, give them your name and your zip code or what your address is, and tell them that you support, HR or was it House Bill HB 1780, HR 1780, and that's basically, all you need to do, because what they do is they keep a little tally of, what's people are calling about. And that's what, it sounds too easy, but really it's hard to get people to do that.
So Jennifer asks, is AARP or the NCOA, which I assume is the National Council on Aging, are they a part of this? Are they supporting this? Does anybody know? I know you've got a lot of connections at AARP, Louis.
Well, in North Carolina, I did bring it to the attention of I did a little, I guess, 1-minute promo thing for them about, how AARP is fighting for me as a caregiver or prospective caregiver. And I gave all this information to Steve Hahn, who's I can't remember exactly what division he is in, but he didn't know about it. So
I don't think a lot of people do.
Anyway, I was trying to raise it's, contact your AARP in your state and let them know, hey, do you know about this? Is this something that AARP is advocating for? And they should.
Yeah, well, Judy says we could do a change.org campaign, which I think is a great idea. There's something called Thunderclap too, which is really interesting. But my thought is, if we really wanted to get this to pass and we really wanted to put it out there, basically I think, we could work with the AOT PAC as far as getting them online for this, and then our lobbyists through our states, plus each one of us making phone calls, but also Louis Tenenbaum, he's got some things going. Louis, hats off to you, Louis. You've really been, getting out there and, knocking on doors and making things happen. But my thought was, if, there's the National Council on Aging, there's the AARP, there's us, there's the AOTA. I mean, there's a lot of different groups that I think would really push this through, but I don't know how many people know about it. But if we could pull people together.
I think I might, the senior centers of every state has a director of the seniors for that state, and that's a great way to reach out to seniors who will, make the phone call, that type thing, which I just now thought, hey, I know who that person is. I need to contact them.
Yeah, I mean, is this something? I really feel like we need to get involved as far as trying to get some of this stuff pushed through, because it will help all of our businesses and it will help all of us, basically, especially as we age, parents age. But is this something people are interested in? I guess I can send out a poll and see. Does anybody have any reasons why they feel we should? I mean, but we'd have to have people who would actually be willing to work on it.
Hi, Mike. This is Mike Carter.
Hey,
hi there, Louis. Hey, how are you? I'm new to the group.
Yay!
Yeah. A question with Louis Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Did he indicate if the National Association of Home Builders was aware of this or on board with this? I mean, it seems like they would be great for pushing on this, and they would have lobbyists and all that.
I think he didn't. I'm trying to remember because it's been a really crazy week. I think he did say that they are on board with it, but there's so many things going on with the budget and everything else up in Washington, D.C. It's hard to tell, what's up. So it's one of those things that we kind of left our conversation with, more or less kind of finding data that will prove that, making these accessible changes not only improves the number of years that people can remain in their homes safely, and the cost save possibly come about, for Medicare and Medicaid, because we kind of decided that data is needed more than anything,
and that takes a long time. Yeah, when I was working with Universal Design, we approached several insurance companies about sponsoring studies about just what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And resounding silence coming back at us. They weren't interested.
Ah,
Which
yeah.
that was over 10 years ago too. But right now, I think Emily Neighbors spoke, was it last week?
Actually,
And she's with she's with USC. And
Yeah.
anyway, we're really doing a home modification course.
Yeah.
And I think they're understanding it and catching on.
Mhm.
And I think they're probably, they are the important players.
Definitely.
If we can and national study shows, those are two big pushers right. The political climate right now is never hurts to keep trying.
Yeah. You can point out that it'll save money. I think
Yeah. That's what they like to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the legislators realize, deep down in their hearts that people are getting older, and that's when most of your costs occur. So if you can somehow or another make it possible to keep people out of, facilities, that
Yeah.
you're saving money.
And speaking to your previous point about people not wanting to do any changes until they get older or perceive themselves as getting older, I don't know if we need to resign ourselves to the fact that people aren't going to do anything until it's time to do things. They have to. And I've gone to several promotion activities at active adult living, the new housing developments.
Uh-huh.
And again, absolutely zero interest in making their homes accessible. And it was incredible. They all just sort of like, well, I don't need that yet. I don't want to do that yet. And which I thought was a real interesting response. I can understand it. They're refusing, to accept the idea that they may be growing old at some point.
Yeah. Well, nobody ever wants to realize that, they can't stay young.
Yeah. I'm fighting it tooth and nail right now.
But that's the beauty of the Senior Accessible Housing Act, because it's not even about that. I mean, it is, but I could see people saying, well, I got to remodel my bathroom. I might as well put in grab bars and non-slip flooring so I can have a tax credit. I mean, it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And the Hartford Group, what they're doing is we're educating their contractors to be able to go in someone's house when they're doing a fire job or whatever, that along those same lines, since we're going ahead and remodeling your bathroom anyway, how about we approach it with some universal design concepts or some accessibility concepts? And they're trying to slip that in there. And I don't have any idea how it's turning out yet, but we are having some good success with the people we're training.
Great. Yeah. Well, that's something I guess it can push with AARP. And because the Hartford is very tied in with the AARP. And
that's right.
They need to be pushed a little bit harder on that.
And also I have another card from something called the Maximum Accessible Housing of Ohio. It's a group providing accessibility, promoting independence is what they say. But they had come to the universal design thing as well, and some realtors also from Ohio, and they were really trying to promote this home modifications and all that. So maybe those three I could contact, because they must be working with groups of people.
They must be. I get emails from the Ohio group every once in a while, and I guess I should start opening and reading them, I guess. Somehow I got on their list.
Maximum Accessible Housing Organization?
Yeah.
Well, if people are interested in actually pushing this through, we need to just sort of put together a plan. and these were my thoughts. Please, everyone, share your thoughts. This on the screen is an infographic that was put together by Emily Good. Tiffany, and I'm going to mess your name up, Tiffany. I'm sorry. Tiffany Pagic posted this. And then I ended up talking a little bit with Emily. It'd be nice to get this tweaked a little bit, where in one of these boxes it says something about occupational therapists reduce the need for readmission to hospitals or something like that. And then change, maybe instead of health professionals, write occupational therapists down here. But maybe use this to help. I don't know. Once we contact people, we have to have something that we have in mind, whether it's a GoFundMe account or a change.org. What I'd really like to do is partner. You know, we're a group, we're HMOTA, which means there's a bunch of us and there's strength in numbers. So I would really like to see us partner with AARP. And Mike, I think you're right. The National Association of Home Builders, especially their CAPS program, it seems like they would jump on board too and get their lobbyists on this. But if we can get, if we can get people individually and the lobbying groups all helping to get this move, we could, maybe get it going on, get it, breathe some life into it. And then the other thing I thought is I was looking at the people who got this this whole Senior Accessible Housing Act going. There's like 10 different people who put the bill together. Maybe we should get a hold of them and talk to them about putting OT in, as part of the tax credit. Or the only way the tax credits work is if it's recommended by an OT, so people aren't just doing stupid stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
they would have some sort of guidelines.
Yeah.
To be able to qualify. Okay.
So I guess what we need to do is organize this. Is there anybody who feels like, leading this? You can always email me later if you don't want to speak up now. So I'll send out some more information on it, and please check the HMOTA website. OTs are strong leaders. I agree, Adam. You better watch out, though. That sounds like you're volunteering. So I'm going to get with Emily. Maybe this is something that we can send to people as sort of an opener and then contact them. You're in trouble, Adam. I think you're going to be voted as the leader on this one. So anyway, that's something that I really want to talk a little bit more about as time goes by. And I'm going to send out some emails. Please, anyone email me with ideas. We're going to need to just sit, get together, talk about it, and put together a plan before we really start getting a hold of people. I think we need to have a plan and, a way people can take action. That's why I was thinking maybe we should do a GoFundMe account, so that way we can use the money from the GoFundMe to give it to different lobbying organizations to push this Accessible Housing Act through. I don't know. Nancy says, I would work with someone to make a list of possible organizations to connect with. I think that is probably the first step. Okay.
And see if we can get Lewis into Lewis probably have good information about how to get in touch with lobbyists or how this process works. He seems to be a
maybe we can
kind of
talk with us, just to come to one of our meetings and talk about what he's done. And, well, okay, this is a discussion we're going to table for now. We may maybe we should think about having a meeting next Monday on one of our off Mondays to actually brainstorm on this and put together a plan.